Hi, welcome back. Now, if you've tuned in to watch a farming video, then I'm sorry, I've decided to do something a bit different this time, but don't worry, there will be more farming videos in the works. But one of my other hobbies is making Lego models. I like to do ones of my own design rather than actual sets you can buy, and I thought I'd just share some pictures of some of those. So I'll just do that, and I'm going to talk about them a wee bit as well. So we'll start here. One of the things I love to do is to make cartoon cars. You've probably all seen pictures like that on the internet before, where people have drawn cars with the big oval wheels and things, and everything's done out of proportion, but it's easily recognisable because they get a few features right. And I wanted to try and do that same thing out of Lego. So this is a VW Combi. There's the drawing, and there's the model that I did. As a combi, I always come up with the idea of what I want to build first and then find a picture of it afterwards, not the other way around. And that one's a Maya Manx beach buggy, and so here's my cartoon version of the Maya Manx beach buggy. And then next we have the AC Cobra or Shelby Cobra, depending on what country you're in, and my version of it. For each of my cars, they all have exhaust tyre smoke pouring out the back made out of ice cream pieces, which you'll see better on some other pictures, and I make a character for each to go with each one as well. And some of the ones I do are from TV series or movies, and some of them are just cars I like and things. So this is a Mazda MX-5, or if you're American it would be called a Miata MX-5 or Mazda Miata, and my version of it. And then an E-Type Jag, or if you're in America it's a Jaguar XKE, and my version of the same. You can easily see the tyre smoke pouring out made of ice creams in that one. This one I built because I had this flag piece. It was meant to go on a flagpole, and I thought, turn sideways, that would make a really good scarf blowing out the back of a convertible. So that's why I decided to build the C-Type Jag. And then, so I built the cartoon one, and then I decided, I want to try and build a serious one. So I lengthened the wheelbase and put more normal wheels on it, and there's a serious one. Now that one's still only 4 studs wide, and it's about 12 studs long. I decided I wanted to try and do another car in the same scale, something quite challenging. So I tried to do a Citroen DS21. I think that came out quite well as well. But then I decided to try and convert this one into cartoon format by shortening it and things. And so I found a cartoon picture of one, but the cartoon one didn't come out looking very good. So I'm just going to keep the standard one like that instead. I should be able to, there we go, that's better. Okay, so then the next one, this is a 1956 Ford F100. Now, the 56 model F100s, in my opinion, probably one of the most beautiful pickup trucks ever made by any company. I just love the 56 Ford, and there's my Lego version of it. So when they're slightly blurry, that one's slightly blurry in the character's face, I'm sorry about that, but yep. And then the A-Team van. Now this one and one other one, a Porsche 911 that you'll see later on, I got the idea from a guy called the Bricketeer, who builds cars that he calls speed chumps. So I'd like to thank Bricketeer for the idea for this one, although mine is different from his, but I got the idea from his one. So there we go, and that is B.A. Baracus standing next to it. Then the DeLorean from Back to the Future. I think we all know that car quite well. So there's my version of it. And he's got the hoverboard there with him. And the flames from when it gets up to 88 miles an hour. The original Batmobile from the 1960s. And my version of the original Batmobile from the 1960s. The Camaro, like you'd find on Transformers 2. So the Bumblebee Camaro. So I decided to do that one as well. There we go. And the Ghostbusters Cadillac, Ecto 1, and my version of the Ghostbusters Cadillac, and the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo, and my version of the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo. And this is a Reliant Regal, although a lot of people think it's a Reliant Robin. The van was actually based on the Regal, and it's from a TV show that was on the UK called Only Fools and Horses. So there's a cartoon picture of the van, and there's my version of it. And yes, it does actually have a wheel under the front there. If you're not familiar with Only Fools and Horses, which was an English comedy, you can always Google Only Fools and Horses and see what the van looked like. This is the Charger from Don's Charger from Fast and Furious, in my version of it. And most of the cars I build, Lego have not done one of it. Occasionally they have, and this is one of the ones where they have, and I actually basically got the Lego one and shrunk it down and things and cartoonified it a bit. And the Dukes of Hazzard. Now for my Dukes of Hazzard, of course, when I shortened the wheelbase to be nothing at all, it had no doors, put the O1 on, and because I show a lot of my Lego models at Lego shows, I thought too many people might find the flag on the roof offensive, so I decided to move the O1 up to the roof to replace the flag that's meant to be there. And you can see I've called mine the General Wee because it's a lot shorter than the normal one. Yeah. And then this is the Trans Am from Smokey and the Bandit. And the reason I decided to build this one is I wanted the challenge of trying to build the Screaming Chicken at a brick. So I didn't want to use a sticker for it. I wanted to brick build the Screaming Chicken. And so there's my Smokey and the Bandit Trans Am. I think that Screaming Chicken on the bonnet looks alright. I'm happy with how that came out for such a small size. I mean, these cars are only 8 to 10 studs long and 4 studs wide, so they're pretty tiny. James Bond's Aston Martin, and my version of James Bond's Aston Martin with the ejector seat. That's another one that Lego did first, and then I decided I wanted to do one as well. And James Bond's submarine Lotus Esprit, so this one went under the water. And my version of James Bond's submarine Lotus Esprit, I've got the shark there instead of a character, just to try and emphasise the fact that it's under the water. And Knight Rider, of course we'd all know Knight Rider, or anyone of a certain age would. So my version, it's very hard to see that one because it's just so much black, but it has got the red light at the front, so I'm quite happy with that one. Mr. Bean's Mini, if you don't know Mr. Bean, it's a TV show, again an English show, that one. And in this particular episode I decided to do it from, he bought an armchair at the shop, and then realising that he couldn't carry the armchair home in the car because it wouldn't fit in his Mini, he strapped it to the roof, and then he sat on the armchair and drove the car from the roof by connecting a rope to the steering wheel and things. Very, very funny episode, and I'm sure if you Google it on YouTube it'll be on there. So there's my version of Mr. Bean's Mini with the armchair on the roof. Magnum PI's Ferrari, and there's my version of Magnum PI's Ferrari. Again, really, really overdone the moustache deliberately. Now these ones, unless you're a Kiwi or Australian, you might need to Google to see what the real car looks like. This one is a Ford Falcon XB GT Coupe, and here's my version of the Ford Falcon XB GT Coupe. One of the rarer colours for the XB GT to come in, the blue with the silver. Most of them had black where this one's silver around the wheel arches along the sills and on the bonnet, and then they'd have something like bright red or bright yellow where this one's blue. But occasionally they didn't have black, they had silver instead, depending on what colour you chose. And this one is a Ford Falcon XY GTHO. Now you can't really see it in this picture, but on this stripe, at the front of the stripe, it had 351 GT. It also had what was called Subaru. So this is Subaru, so it's a kangaroo with these exhausts here and the air cleaner on top and the big mag wheels. So when I did my cartoon version, I decided to do the Subaru next to it there instead of a person. So this is the XY GTHO Ford Falcon with the Subaru next to it. And then this is an E49 Valiant Charger. So different from the Dodge Charger, this one's a Valiant Charger. They had the quickest ones had a straight 6 engine in them. I think you could get them with a V8, but the straight 6 was actually the quicker car and the better car. And my version of the E49 Valiant Charger, this one is a Holden Tirana SLR 5000, and my version of the Holden Tirana SLR 5000. Again, these are all Australian muscle cars, so feel free to Google them, see what the real one looked like if you're unsure. Peter Brock's Tirana A9X, and my version of Peter Brock's Tirana A9X, and a Holden HQ Sandman, and again, my version of a Holden HQ Sandman, a Lamborghini Countach, and my version of a Lamborghini Countach. Now I actually built my one of these before Lego built a Countach in the smaller size, but when they released theirs I did buy one and steal the wheels off it for mine, but the rest of this was all built before Lego released one. So a BMW 2002, and my version of a BMW 2002, again it's all cartoonified, so yes, the roof is miles too high, but I wanted to get the cartoon look to it. The Porsche 911 Turbo, now this is the other one that Bricketeer built in his Speed Chump series, and I saw it and liked it, wanted to do it a bit differently from his one, but I like the idea of having the wing that was really oversized compared to the rest of the car. So that's my version of it. And again, I'd like to thank Bricketeer for putting up the picture of his. And I saw it and thought, yeah, I'd like to do one of those. That looks really good. And so I did the really huge wing on the back. The Shelby GT350 Mustang, and my version of the Shelby GT350 Mustang, 57 Chev, and this was the first one of these cartoon cars I ever did. I did this before I even thought of doing it with the slanted wheels and things, so it's a slightly different design. It's still cartoonified, but yeah, it's just a different look from the others that you've seen so far. I've got two more that I did in this design as well. So I did a Ford Woody, and there's my version of the Ford Woody, and the 32 Ford 5 window like you'd see on the movie American Graffiti, and my cartoon version of the 32 Ford 5 window. I also wanted to do one of these that wasn't a cartoon version, so I also built this one. Now this one uses a lot of snot technique, which is studs not on top. It's got a bit of strange part usage, like to get the shaping on the sides here. The sides of the car is made out of minifig seats facing outwards. Now it means the interior of this is 3 wide at the bottom and 4 wide at the top. I do use one very illegal technique on this. The way I've done the exhaust with these grey aerials attached by the grey arms there to the engine is under a lot of stress, and these grey arms do from time to time break, but they're really cheap to buy on Bricklink, so when my grey arms break I just replace them with new ones. But because those pieces are under quite a lot of stress holding it like that, it would be considered an illegal technique by Lego. And now, the reason for this photo is a lot of people ask me with these other ones like this, how do I get the stanced wheels? That seems to be the question I'm asked most often at shows, is how do I make the wheels stance like that? So I'm going to share that in case anyone would like to know. So it uses 3 pieces. It uses a 1x2 plate with C-clips on the side, a pneumatic T-join, and one of these little Technic pins. Now again, this is an illegal technique, and what happens is the way you join them, I'm going to show you in a second, it does create a lot of stress on these C-clips, and occasionally I go to pick up one of my cartoon cars to pack it up to take to a Lego show. I noticed that one of the wheels has got quite floppy, and when that happens, it's always the same thing. It's these C-clips are broken, so I just buy another one of these pieces. Again, it's a very, very cheap piece to buy on Bricklink, so I replace them when I need to, but because it is under stress, it would be an illegal move. And this is how you join them together. So you have this joined to the car, you have the little pneumatic T into the C-clip, the pin there, and then any wheel with a round stud on the back will clip straight on there, and you can adjust the angle. It does hold it quite firmly as long as the C-clips aren't broken, so you can change the angle of the wheels to suit. Now, that was the last picture I've got under that folder, but I do want to share a couple of other ones with you as well, a couple of other pictures. So we'll just go out of that folder now. Now, we'll just go in here now. So in the 1970s, in 1975, Lego released 2 Lego models. They released this Renault here, and also this Cadillac here. And in 1976, they released the Rolls Royce here. All 3 are reasonably rare now, because what happened is they didn't sell very well. So after releasing these 3, Lego stopped building them. Now, one of my friends, when I was back at primary school in the 70s, had this model here, and there's no way I had a Lego model like this in those days. That was far too expensive. There's no way my parents could afford to buy me one of these. But when this one came up, I saw it for sale on Trade Me, and Trade Me is like a it's the New Zealand version of eBay, basically. So as soon as I saw this on Trade Me, I thought, yes, I've got to have that, and I bought it. And it wasn't until after I bought it and I started doing some research on it that I came to the realisation that Lego only ever made 3, the Renault, the Cadillac, and the Rolls Royce. Now, the Rolls Royce, remember, was made 1 year later in 1976, and it does have a bit more detail than the other 2, like it has a steering wheel and things. But I decided that I wanted to continue building the set out further. So I started thinking to myself, well, what other ones would Lego have built in the set had they been more popular and they hadn't stopped after building 3? So I decided to carry on building more of my own design, but using the 1970s Lego bricks and the 1970s Lego techniques. I did, however, cheat on the colours. Lego had very, very few colours available in the 70s. In fact, the only green bricks you could buy, for example, were base plates and trees, and there were no grey bricks available until 1978, when Lego released their Lego Space. Now, the reason they never released grey or green bricks is they didn't want people building any army things, tanks and the like. And so, and to this day, they still don't release any military equipment like that. So I have cheated on the colours, because there were so few colours available in the 70s, in the early to mid 70s. If I wanted to build a larger collection of vintage cars, it would look very, very boring if I only stuck with colours that were available in those days. So I have cheated on colours, but I've tried to stick to bricks that were only available in that era, even if they were different colours. So this is a Ford Model A Woody that I built, and then that's a Bugatti Type 35B, and a Bentley, 4.5 litre blower Bentley, the kind that raced at Le Mans, an Alfa Romeo 8C, so that, yes, the Alfa Romeo 8C. Interesting enough, some of these Lego Technic bits were actually available in the late 70s, is when they started making the first Lego Technic. So I haven't cheated by using that to get the drilled out, lightened look to it. This one, you'll all know, the propellers wouldn't have been available in the 70s, but this, of course, is Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, I've designed it so you can take all the wing pieces off and the propellers off and just have it as a vintage car if you'd rather. But I like this Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And then this one, now the horn piece was definitely not available in the 70s, but this one I built from a book that I was reading when I was a child. The book was called Gumdrop, and it's by Val Biro, so you could Google Gumdrop by Val Biro. The car is an Austin Clifton Heavy 12.4, and because the brass door handles and the brass horn were so prominent in the books and things, I felt I had to include them on this model, even though they're not period correct for doing 1970s. But it's still got the 1970s look overall with the exposed studs and things like that. And this is old number 5, a fire engine I decided to make. And I wanted to do a horse-drawn cart, because I wanted the challenge of building a horse that looked reasonably real, but was done using, again, 1970s techniques. So I've tried to stick to kind of building techniques that they used in the 70s, but to get a horse that looked reasonably real to pull this horse-drawn cart. You notice the horse-drawn cart, if we zoom in, is a Whitlock's Pickles and Sauces one, and it's carrying wooden crates full of sauce bottles. And then this, I think this is the last one, yes it is. This is the 1886 Benz, which was arguably, because there was some argument over this, the first motor car ever made. Now, if you actually Googled a picture of this one, you'd see that the back wheels are meant to be a much larger diameter than the front wheels. They don't make bigger diameter wheels than this in the 70s, so I couldn't do that. But since most people don't have one of these parked in their driveway at home, they're not overly familiar with what it should look like, so when they see this, they just assume it's correct and they don't question the size of my rear wheels and say, hey, they should be a lot bigger. So that's my Lego car collection, vintage car collection I want to share with you. So as I said, that's based on the fact that Lego only made 3 in the collection, and I wanted to make my collection bigger than just 3. And I will be building that collection out more. Well, this video has been going for just over 20 minutes now, so I'll call that a day. Thank you very much for tuning in, and as I said, if you were hoping to get to see more farming videos, then there will be more farming videos coming, so don't panic. Thank you very much. Bye.